anchor points are very, very crazy, very complicated, but hopefully I can simplify it down for you. They are very, very powerful. Again, I'd recommend doing some additional reading on the Substance Painter documentation page. Simply, anchor points store arbitrary information on the layer that it is on. They work similar to pass-throughs, the pass-through example that I showed earlier, but the big difference is that I can grab information from one layer and use it on another, as long as that layer is below the layer that I'm referencing. Go. Apologies. Okay. In this example, I'm using a anchor. Or let me go back an example. Sorry. In this example, I'm using. I'm storing the belly mask wherever I painted the belly mask of my character. I'm storing that in an anchor point. With that anchor point, I can go to a layer far above it, far above my layer stack. That is this heart decal. With this heart decal, I can then say, hey, I'm going to put a fill layer above all these heart decals. And then I'm going to use a multiply. So I'm going to multiply the black areas of the belly fur mask into the hearts of the decals, the projecting decals. So no matter where I paint those hearts or where I place those hearts are always going to be on the belly no matter what. And even if I update that mask later on down the line, like I want the belly fur to come out further, I want the belly fur to come in thinner, the layer above that decal heart layer is going to update with that information.
To say there's the thingy in the settings there.
Yeah, so in this example, I'm storing the mask. I'm storing the mask of my jacket design. Yeah. Here I have design on the back of my jacket. I have a channel layer with height, color, roughness, metallic to define the actual pattern on the back of the jacket. I then store that pattern in the mask layer and use it in the layer above. The layer above is another channel layer with only height information. In my mask layer, I use a fill with a stored anchor point. Then I blur that design and use another fill with that pattern to subtract out that design, again using the same anchor point information. Sorry, one second. I have videos, but unfortunately they're not playing. I think there's some issues. But I'm trying to move on as best I can. Let's see. Yeah, so next one is anchor points and pass-through layers. You can actually mix the two together. Here I have a fill layer with every channel set to pass through. So I'm storing the information of all the layers below it, below that pass-through. Again, anchor points can only store the information of the layer they are attached to. This means that when I attach an anchor point to the pass-through, I'm storing the information of every layer below that anchor point. I can then use that normal information stored in the pass-through and stored in the anchor point to warp the Luma pattern on the right. So every bit of detail that I paint on my character, from the scales to the musculature, is getting stored in that anchor. I can then take all that, put a warp filter on top of my Luma pattern, and then I can warp that Luma pattern via the scales, via the musculature of my character.
Sounds like new.
Yeah, that's that's it. Apologies. There's gonna be a lot more videos and to help kind of explain some of the details, but I think there's some technical difficulties going on. But it's all good. Please feel free if you have any questions or comments. Oh, and then a video plays. But yeah, regardless, I'll probably post some of these. I'll post this slide on Twitter. I'll post my slide deck on Twitter, probably with like the Google Docs link, so you can see all the videos that'll play out. I know it's been a lot to go through, and I can't tell you like how much I've actually cut from this. There's just a lot to speak on. So feel free to follow me on Twitter. I like to post little painter tutorials here and there, along with any other art odds and ends. But it looks like we have plenty of time for questions. So I was told to look in the Discord. Let me get that pulled up. There we go. All right. What is my Twitter? On the last slide, I am at I am at FaraVR, at FARAVR on Twitter. So feel free to follow me there. Sorry, let me reading through the questions. Okay, when do missions was a way to keep... Sorry, let me read this out loud. When doing emissions, do you know of a way to keep whatever you have painted as a normal pattern, let's say spots, to where it can be both, so it can be used on the avatar not glowing and glowing? Oh, yeah. So you can actually use a lot of like anchor point shenanigans for this. So for example, if I have like spots in my character that I need to be used as an emission, I can paint all my spots, like I want to be in a different layer, for example. I can paint all my spots on a one layer, and I can use an anchor point on the mask of that spots. I actually had a video on this, but it didn't. That would have answered this question, unfortunately. But you can use an anchor point on that spot mask, and then bring it up to another layer on top that's like your emission or whatever, and then use that information to do whatever you want with. So that's the cool thing about anchor points and pass-through layers, is that they are just purely storing information. What you do with that information is kind of on you. Oh, it was like really close to the front. Sorry, I'm gonna go find that video.
I feel like Substance is just trying his best to be a node-based.
Apologies.
By trying to hide the fact.
I'm gonna look through my Google Docs, my Google Sheet.
Node base?
Yeah.
What's node base?
Node.
Node.
Spots, anchor points.
Do basic
adjustments on each node.
N-O-D-E-S.
Oh, node. Okay.
56 was the slide.
No, well, I know. I don't know 3D. Sorry.
Okay, let me go back to
Node-based.
questions.
He
All
uses-
right.
he uses node-based music.
Yeah. So again, is there an easy way to apply randomized spots like a cheetah or a leopard? Yes. If that video can play, that actually is a really great example for spots. You can use something called a Voronoi noise. Voronoi noise are really crazy. You can do all kinds of stuff with them. They actually have presets too. But with the Voronoi noise, you can actually go through and use a bunch of sliders and a bunch of parameters to create those spots. In the example that I have, if you go on my Twitter, it's one of the later tweets, one of the tweets I've done recently to show how to do like randomized spots on a character and remove them and paint them manually. Because the thing with spot characters, if you're going to go through and paint each individual spot, it's going to take a very long time. It's going to be very time consuming. And again, if the person that's commissioning you comes back and says, oh, I want those spots to be thinner, or I want those spots to be more random or more uniform, then you have to go through and delete all the shit you did and then repaint all those spots again. But with the Voronoi noise, you can simply use a bunch of parameters and it will just randomize spots all across your character. You can then use a paint mask layer above that, set to, I think I had it set to linear burn. So anywhere that you paint white, those spots will show up across your character. Then after the fact, of course, you can go through and change the balance of the spots, change the position of those spots. Definitely look at my Twitter, because I actually have a video that'll answer your question directly about that.
It feels like
Which shader do you recommend for using VR chat avatars? I use Pyomi primarily. I tried a couple others. Pyomi just has a lot of crazy features in it, especially for like optimization. So I have a tutorial later on that goes over using detail normal mask RGB masking. This detail normal RGB masking is really cool because you can do like detail normals on your clothing. Like I have it on my clothing right now, but it's probably hard to see through the stream. Yeah, so you can like cut down the normal like the height or the size of your normal maps. Like I don't use 4K normals on anything. I use 2K normals for the most part. But then I use a detail normal that I create in Substance Designer to tile across all my clothing to get this like really nice high density detail. Let's see. Do you have any good sites, tips for smart materials or alphas? People probably aren't going to like me for this, but I do recommend getting the Adobe version of Painter, not the Steam version. The Adobe one is more expensive. However, you get access to the Adobe 3D library. In this 3D library, it's like a separate app that you can launch. You can actually go in there, and they have literally tens of thousands of materials and brushes you can get. And with like a little button inside the app, you can actually send those materials directly to Painter with like a single click. And I highly recommend it. It is more expensive, but it's super nice. Sorry, I'm reading through the questions again. Can you briefly describe masks for audio link settings? So it kind of at the start of the panel, I spoke on creating a channel mask layer. With that channel mask layer, again, I can store RGB values. I can paint I can paint green, I can paint blue. Inside of Pyomi, or inside of like the Luma shader, there is a mask input. That mask input uses those 3 channels, red, green, and blue, splits them out in 3 different ways, and then you can control different audio effects on red, different audio effects on green, different audio effects on blue. The traditional way a lot of people I've seen do is they go into Photoshop. They'll take like individual black and white masks they painted in Painter, and then bring that over to Photoshop and like tweak it from there, mix it together. But with a user channel, you can just simply paint your RGB directly in Painter and export it directly from Painter into Unity without having to do any like manual hand combining. Yes, they're actually, yeah, okay, so is there a way to have more than one symmetry, say, on the X or Z axis? I'm going to assume you're talking about the symmetry filter. So in a recent update, the 2023 update of Substance Painter, they actually added the ability to adjust the blending modes of filters, which has been it has really freaking helped me a lot, because normally I had to do some like anchor point shenanigans to like use that information to up and down the stack. But now you can just straight up say, hey, I have my first symmetry set to X, and then I have another symmetry above that set to Y. Then I can take that above symmetry and set it to lighten, max, or add. Yeah, it's just, yeah. So the newest 2023 version has that. Unfortunately, the 2022 doesn't have that feature. Mesh map. Oh, that's actually a good question. I don't know that one, Lorcan. I noticed that mesh map images, which get baked in Substance, are huge, and I normally need to export them, open them, export. Yeah, I've heard that complaint from a lot of users too, and myself, is that like I really don't need those mesh maps to be 4K, because like the Painter file goes crazy big with those mesh maps. I would actually love to know that too, honestly. Turning away. So, yeah, so well, one question here from Atlas. Are there any good ways of creating emission masks easily? Turning a whole layer into an emission layer, for example. Yes. So, I talked about at the very start of the panel that there are base layers that get exposed at the very beginning of your file. These are like the channel layers, the base color, roughness, metal, and all that. Then I also mentioned there's additional channels that are exposed to the user, but aren't normally there by default. Emission is one of those. Emission is supported in the shader, but you have to hit that little plus button in the channel setup page, and inside of there you can go into and find emission and add that to your project. Once you add that to your project, you'll see a little channel layer pop up in your channel layer. Enable that, and then you can paint emissions, or use that as emissions at that point. Then you can go into your exporter and export those emissions directly.
Hi. I'm checking out the video I made. It's like an hour long.
Sorry, I'm still reading through the things. Any suggestions for projection that wraps around the model, say stripes on the arm? Yeah, so that's the planar projection I spoke about earlier. Actually, any of the projections. All the projections actually go through the model. Whenever you add a projection, you should see little green arrows, or a little bounding box around the projection. That bounding box or those green arrows, with the warp projection in particular, that bounding box and arrows actually dictate how far that is going to go through the asset. So it'll go around all the way to the other side. Is there a good way to make tiger stripes? I haven't found a good way to do that besides hand painting. You could probably do some Voronoi. You could probably do some Voronoi shenanigans, and you'd probably have to do some manual hand painting still. But you could probably cut down on the hand painting by half. by doing some like clever noise stuff. But the actual tapering of the stripes like across like the character, that might be a little difficult. Yeah, actually no, you might be able to use a world space normal. You might be able to use the world space normal and like subtract out the front and the back from the side stripes. Ooh, I should look into that. Yeah, actually I might know how to do that. I might see if I can look at that and put it on Twitter. What's my favorite texture I've done so far? That's probably the koi fish. The koi fish I'm most proud of, just because of all the shenanigans I had to do to get the scales, doing like the procedural geometry node setup, to like pattern scales all across the character. It was this crazy like 10 million triangle object that I had to bake down onto the character, and I kept crashing my computer constantly. Then I had this crazy like multicolor ID mask that I brought into Painter, and I was able to use this multicolor ID mask to do all kinds of other stuff inside. See, do you know of a way to export multiple texture maps that are designed to be combined together? Yes. The export in your export output template. With that output template, you can do whatever you want with it. For example, you can create a new output that is an RGB or RGBA. You can then take all the different channels, be it base color, roughness, user channels, whatever you want. Then you can pack those individual channels into the R, G, and B, and A values of that map. Then when you hit export, Painter will take, say, the roughness in red, the metallic in green, the ambient occlusion in blue. It'll take all that information, it'll pack it all up together into a single RGB map, and then push it out to wherever you want, like in Unity or something. Let's see. So I know I'm like, I still have like 8 minutes. I don't know if we're still cool with doing more Q&A, since I've had a lot of time with other videos. Let me keep looking.
Pudding?
Mask. Yeah, it's an easy one. For the RGB mask for audio link in the Furality shader, can it be used in Pyomi for the audio link in there to get the same effect? Yes. Pyomi has a feature called global masks. Inside that global mask feature, you can input whatever mask you want. In this case, a audio link RGB. You can put your audio link in there, and inside audio link settings, whatever it might be, like pulse or pathing or vertex, you can actually go through and say, hey, I want to reference a global mask, and you can take that global mask and reference it in all these different audio link locations inside Pyomi. Oh, combining texture sets. Oh, JK Sessions. Yeah, okay. There is not a way, unfortunately. This has been a big complaint for, like, everyone that I've seen talk about Social Painter. No, there's no way inside of Painter to combine texture sets. There are some programs. I've used some programs in the past that will automate it for you. If you want to contact me, I can give you a link to the program that I've used in the past where you can feed it, like, 5 different texture sets, all the texture you export. It's an outside program. You feed it all the texture sets with an alpha, and it'll actually go through and combine all of them for you. Let's see. Do you have any good tips for direction maps with gradient? Oh yeah, direction maps. Like we're talking about the direction maps that come from the Luma stuff. Yeah, direction maps. For my character, actually, I'm using position map for that. I take the position map, and I kind of do some funny stuff with it, because the position map again is a fully tiling. It tiles across your entire body seamlessly. So, like for example, I have my on my Luma character, I have a position map that goes up the length of my legs up to the torso, and then I have another position map that comes from the sides and comes in like this onto the arms, and then another position map that comes down. So I'm combining all these different position maps together to create this whole direction map I can use inside the Luma shader. Where did you start learning all these techniques with Social Painter? These techniques I kind of picked up over time. Again, I started using Painter like literally when it first came out. Like I was still using Photoshop to do all my textures way back in the day. This was like 8 years ago. I am old. I was able to use all those just use Painter. I just used it constantly. You know, always kept up with latest tutorials. And there's a website called 80 Level that I highly recommend if you're just trying to, you know, find what people are doing and how they're doing things. It's a great website, a great tool. Just kind of learn stuff. But yeah, it's just a lot of practice and a lot of just, you know, banging my head against the wall to have it work. Would love a link to that texture set combiner. Yes, I will try. I think it's on Gumroad somewhere. I'll try and find it and I'll post it here later. Yeah, A double right there. That's a wonderful website, especially if you're just a generic, like, general 3D artist. It's a great website just to browse. I have it like every morning. You know, I have my cup of coffee and I go through Twitter, I go through ArtStation, I go through 80 Level. There's just really good things. Do you have any eye generators that you would recommend? Oh, that's a loaded question. I know what you're doing. Yeah, you can find my eye generator on Gumroad. Besides the materials and the Adobe version, I guess there's not really that much of a benefit of the Adobe version outside of that materials thing. If anything, you get more frequent updates, but really that's really the only big reason I suggest getting the Adobe version. If you have no need for third-party materials or outside materials into your project, then yeah, you can stick to the Steam version. Is there basic things you should start with to understand how Substance Painter fully works? Really, it's just doing it and making mistakes. Like, the biggest thing I tell new artists is don't be afraid to mess up. I mess up all the time. I still mess up all the time. But usually when I mess up or I don't finish a project or I'm feeling down about it, I always come back and I say I learned something from it. What did I learn from this mistake? What did I learn from this? It's never a failure because I'm always learning something, no matter what. Even if I don't finish the project, I've learned something from it, and I take that information, I use it on the next thing that I'm doing. So as hard as it is, as hard as that, like, especially your mind getting into you and like trying to like dissuade you from doing this kind of stuff. The biggest thing really is to just there's no such thing as mistake. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to mess up. That's how you learn. That's how you get better at this. What about would add those to Substance? No, there's not really do mip maps and Substance. You can do it in Photoshop. There's a Intel and an NVIDIA plugin which lets you import DDS files into Photoshop. With those DDS files, you can actually expose the mip maps and adjust the mip maps directly inside of Photoshop and save it back out as a DDS. But that's far beyond this panel. Sorry, it's a long question I'm reading to see if it's a good one.
Just a heads up here, we're running, we only have like a couple minutes left, so if you've got like one or two more questions,
okay.
Just a quick heads up, that's all.
Yeah, I'm looking for short, quick ones. Where would you recommend sourcing an education in? I guess an education in like 3D stuff. Really, like right now is the best time to do it. Like when I was doing 3D stuff early on, we had to go to obscure forums and we had to buy tutorials and stuff. But like right now is a great time to just go into YouTube, go to your favorite creators, and they like go into Twitter and just follow people and just really ingest all this information from YouTube, Twitter, and all these other artists. There's a super talented people in our community that are doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'd recommend just looking to see what they're doing. I probably have time for one more question. I'll take some more bits and pieces. Yeah, well, I think we can end it there. I don't see any others that can be quickly added. But I'll try to get in this chat later and answer some questions if I can. But if not, just follow me on Twitter. I like posting little tutorials. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
Oh, it's raining outside the stage, right?
It's raining somewhere else. It's raining, man. Hallelujah.
There's still on stage. That was neat. I need to adjust my voice a second. A fair bit of it went over my head.
Bandus, your mic working yet?
Almost all went over my head, but
I still can't hear you. Your mouth doesn't even move. The lights up.
That was interesting. Where'd I put my camera? Over there. Oh yeah. That's interesting. I saw Last Wolf was even also paying attention to this. You picked up anything new stuff up, Wolf? Probably you did. Well, vods I do remove at the moment because of all the music that's on it. I already moved the first 48-hour stream because I had already complained about Twitch from there's probably copyrighted music on that one. So that one is already removed. I'm gonna remove this one too, just to be safe on that side. But I'm gonna download the stuff to my PC first before I remove it. I can edit this section out and I can send it to you so you can watch it again. That's not a problem, I can do that. Furality is gonna upload it too. Okay, okay. That's also handy then. Yeah, but the vods for me, I'm gonna remove also this one. This to be safe on copyright claims, so.
Sorry I wasn't talking during the presentation thing.
Actually, that's right. I didn't say a single word, remember?
Let's see, I don't know what's coming up now. I am planning to end the stream now. I'm gonna get dinner. Because I can have some rest. There's another panel gonna join up in at 8. Cause I need to get some stuff prepped before I go to work. Because that panel starts at 8 until 9. And 9:30 I need to be at work a little bit before that to open up all the stuff. So it's a bit tricky. So that's why I want to end the stream a little bit earlier. I learned one thing now. Next time, I'll need another day off. Why your voice is broken? No. I have the mic in VRC. I have the mic muted, so don't worry. There's nothing changed on this one. I have the mic in VRC is muted, so that's why my mouth is now not moving. This one hasn't been added. Can now turn the mic on, then that's fine.
I'll just watch it later. I heard it's gonna be on YouTube because
So yeah, but I know I need next time with Furality. I don't know if there's gonna be another one this year. I can expect another one at the end of the year, maybe. Then I definitely. I was thinking of going on the physical bonus panel. I don't know what time is that one then. Oh, that's at 6. Yeah, that's might be a good one. Yeah, I might can join on that. I can probably get my dinner done before that because I literally fast food I make. That's not a bad one to go anyway to that one. Physical bones. That's the good one I need to go through. And then I want to go just on the one for 9 is the shine the light, explore stage lighting and stuff. I want to be on that one too. So.
yes, that's where I was at. I came in, they were already doing Q&A, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I heard it's gonna be on YouTube, so
There might be a small one, but the big ones are only once a year. Yeah, I know in the beginning of the year there was one. There's now one, so I will see if there's another one or not. But at least now the first Friday I know. Take the Friday off, take the Monday off, so it can be also 2 panels that I want to. Because there's also one from Thrillstick and VR that actually starts at 10. I cannot be with, but if you say at that point can post on Furality, I can watch it probably tomorrow or later. So. I'm gonna move somewhere maybe. Yeah, I'm just gonna head towards the club. And then go make, gonna end the stream. That's events. Can I go just do the I don't know who's playing now. I just grab schedule and then I go to club. Don't need an auto join, I just need a... Can you just give me a quick join for the club, please?
On like the docs for it and on his Twitter. He did pretty cool.
Join. Yeah.
And it's going to have videos with it.
A bit late for you, yeah.
You kidding?
I can catch it just for the night shift, some stuff, but... Stop it lagging. Hopefully his Discord is gonna be fine now, because Discord is lagging too. Hello, you're almost empty. You don't wanna charge any more parts, 98% controller. What the fuck? What? Gonna roll a little bit lower first. Almost missed it. Ooh. That sounds good. I was playing now. Alright, chat. I'm gonna end here. It's been pretty much 60-hour stream in total, so wait, that camera is somewhere. Those cameras are somewhere in the world, apparently. Where the hell are you cameras? Oh, you actually turned around for some reason. Aye, that works. I have this one apparently backwards. Well then. Alright, I'll be ending here. Is that anyone that I might can trade? I don't know. I'll check. I don't think there's a lot of people live currently. I'm gonna send you all to. Oh, he's still he's messing up a little bit. I must say with his camera all the time. He's forgetting to take his camera with no, I don't see anyone really currently to wait. Maybe we'll see all later on no, probably. Yeah, maybe we'll. Yeah, yeah. The fishbone was a good one. I can hop on that one, and then the more stage lighting one hop on that one, and that's like the last spell I can hop on before I need to go. Maybe see you later. There's no way nobody gonna wait at the moment, no target. So, hope you enjoyed this long stream. Probably the longest I've ever done on a stream. All VR. Well, my first time Furality, how this Furality was, I loved it. It's a great Furality. I love it. I know I've been a few times to Climax, but to be honest, this beats everything compared to Climax really. So, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Further on this week, there won't be any streams because of night shift. We'll be back Saturday again. Just the normal VC. Bullshit and shit as always. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you next. Bye. Bye bye all.
find it,
Take care.
and it adds it to your friends. So if there's a friends kind of thing,
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure because it's been really funny how I just do an auto join, and I will literally end up with a huge group of my friends. I have no idea. That's different. You guys see the Furality Sylva logo came in?
I missed it. Any other donuts?
I know. I do. I promised them 35.
You totally sound
35. Like as the audio link moves, it also seems to have a slight transparency to it. It's really nice.
Yeah, it does.
It is transparent. It's got like this like refraction.
It has a reflection on it too.
Welcome to the Furality Sylva DJ interview series. I'm Stitcheroo, and I found another DJ. Which DJ are you?
I am Kaiju, otherwise known as Razor.
Hey, and what are you gonna